All right, are we ready?
Yes.
Maya? Okay.
I'm here.
Okay. In 5, 4, 3, 2.
Look at you. You made it to another episode of We Did That Shit podcast, where we talk about who did some shit, how we got through some shit, and what we learned from shit.
I'm Maya.
And I'm Babi. Hey, podcast family. We appreciate your support, and we hope your week was the shit. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. If you like what you hear, please subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. You can also follow us on all social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at We Did That Shit. Hey, Maya.
Hey.
What's up?
That's what you was looking for, right? Hey.
Yeah, you sound more enthusiastic when I hit you with the hey, Maya.
Right.
You be like, hey. After I say, hey, Maya.
Okay. Hey. What's going on with you, girl? How was your week?
Oh, my goodness. My week was great. My week was the shit.
Yes.
Yeah, it really was. So, I hosted Christmas dinner.
You did. You did that shit.
Yeah, thanks. Shout out to Aunt Marty and Lady and Omari. They helped me get things together. A lot of work. I just wanted everybody to be comfortable so that we could all have a good time. And we did. The food was good.
Have a great time.
Yeah. That was nice.
You were stressing yourself out for I don't know what, but it was a good time. Yeah, you was acting like people never been to your house before. That was what was cracking me up. Like, oh my God, I gotta do this and I gotta do that. And I'm thinking to myself, like, well, why you ain't just say no when I said you want to host Christmas dinner?
First of all, you ain't say you would want to host Christmas dinner like that.
Yes,
First of all, it wasn't like I had an option to say no.
Yes, you did.
No.
I said, Kathy ain't doing Christmas dinner this year.
I guess we gotta have it at your house.
She's tired. No, that's not what I said.
Yes,
do not lie to these people. I said, you want to host Christmas dinner because Aunt Kathy ain't having it this year. You was like, oh yeah, I'll do it. You ain't even hesitate. You just like, oh, okay.
Like, you gonna host Christmas dinner? Because Aunt Kathy ain't having it. Like, we gotta have it at your house. Like, that's the option.
A, it was. B, that's not what I said. But C, thank goodness you did because it was such a good time. We sang, we ate, we danced, we fellowshiped, we drank. We just had a good time. I mean, it was lovely. I can't wait to the next event at your house. And now you already got it done up. So, we could just have it. Don't let it get out of hand.
Keep the house like that.
Keep the house like it is. Oh. Then we have the next event soon.
Soon. Yeah. So January, you having an event.
Yes.
So we'll go to your event in January. So maybe February, I can have another event, even though the family prayer breakfast is in March.
Well, we'll do the event for February. It'll still be like a birthday celebration for me.
Look at you. Well, that season getting longer and longer, boy.
Well, first of all, this is a milestone birthday, so it has to be longer and longer.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So we'll do that. But I'm glad your week was the shit. You have anything else going on besides hosting Christmas dinner?
You know what? No, that was a real big highlight. We didn't put out an episode last week because, we had stuff to get together for the holiday and everything. And I'm just learning, I'm still learning so much about myself. So even in the preparation for Christmas dinner, which I'm glad I had, and my week really was the shit all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to work. I'm leaving on time.
Mm-hmm.
I was invited to someone's event for New Year's Eve, and I'm going to go.
Good.
You know what I mean? I'm doing it up. What's up with you? How was your week?
My week was the shit as well. I love the holidays. So even though every year it gets harder and harder with people that we're losing. You know, I lost my grandpop on Christmas Eve. And so it's never really like the greatest time, but just thinking about the memories of the people and telling stories and laughing about what they brought to our lives, you know, that can definitely make a big difference. And so because of those things, and then you know how I am with the family. I love getting with the family, you know, it's family over everything. And so that's why I really like the holidays. Even though we get together all the time, it's nothing like the holidays. And I really love, we talked about it, our traditions. You know, I really enjoy when we get together and we just have fun with each other, the singing and the dancing. And, you know, I always love the food. So you can never go too wrong with that. And so prepare.
Oh, did you get some ambrosia?
I did not get ambrosia. I passed out ambrosia, however. We talked about this on our Instagram story. So ambrosia is a family tradition that
dates way back.
It was one of my great grandmother's favorite desserts. Yeah. And for you out there in the podcast land who might not know what ambrosia is, I still don't even know. And
it's like marshmallow and whipped cream and fruit cocktail and coconut.
And nuts or something.
And yeah, I never heard of nobody putting nuts. That's in the fruit cocktail.
First of all, it's just a lot of stuff that looks like stuff that I'm good with. And that's just how I feel about ambrosia. But everybody did take a spoonful with the exception of me and maybe one other person. For
your brother.
Right. Well, me and my brother are alike, honey. We all took a spoonful in honor of my great grandmother. My aunt decided this year of all years, even though we have not had ambrosia for the past forever.
Yes, that's 738 Berkeley Street.
Exactly. And so since we have not had ambrosia since then, my aunt had this bright idea to make it this year. And while it was a lovely gesture, it was still half a pan or more left at the end of Christmas. Other than the ambrosia debacle, my week was the shit. It really was. It was a good time. You know, the holidays, they come and they go so fast, so it's bittersweet. But we really had a good time. And so thanks, Bib, for hosting Christmas dinner.
It was my pleasure.
We did you a favor.
You did? Yes,
because you got to get stuff together in your house. You probably would have put off for a little bit of time.
That I've been putting off forever. It was like the best spring cleaning ever.
Exactly.
Places that people wasn't even going to be. And I was like, no, let me get rid of this right now. Let me get this. Yeah. So it was beneficial. So what are we talking about this week, Maya?
So this week, you know, it's the end of the year. So we are doing the 2018 shit list. It's the We Did That Shit podcast year in review.
Podcast airs. It's going to be December 31st. I really hope everybody finished strong. I really hope, you know, I even applied that podcast to my own self.
Me too.
I looked at things that I wanted to accomplish, and I cleaned the house. I cleaned my basement. You know, I started knocking. There was still a lot of things I could get done before and I still have a couple days. You know, I did like maybe 3 or 4 squats the other day. Ouch. Hey.
That unicarrier, you gonna get past that, huh?
I'm gonna push past, okay? You know, I'm telling you. So I hope everybody is ending their year strong. But yeah, we got a shit list.
A lot of shit happened in 2018, but a lot of shit, more importantly, happened on We Did That Shit podcast. So let's just run down some stuff that's on our shit list.
All right. Well, number 1, we started the podcast.
Now that don't deserve a whoop whoop. I don't know what deserves a whoop whoop. Whoop whoop. That was by far the biggest thing that happened on We Did That Shit podcast. In 2018, yes. We actually started the podcast.
And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be honest. I really didn't know, not that because we're not failures. It's just not who we are. But I am a little surprised that we've kept it up the whole year. I'm pleasantly surprised.
I'm pleasantly surprised as well. I will say that a part of me is a little surprised as well. And I feel like it definitely has to do with not because we're failures, but also I think that the podcast started out as a fun venture. It was like, oh, this will be fun, but over time it has taken on the life of, oh, we gonna do this shit.
Exactly.
And we started, not that we didn't even take the podcast serious when we first began, but I think that over time when we realized like we could turn this into something it's
right.
something enjoyable, it's an outlet, and we actually had people listening to us. It took on a life of its own in the sense of it's serious,
right,
but still fun.
But still fun, right?
Yeah.
Because in the beginning, we thought it was funny. We would laugh. I mean, we would laugh for hours before the podcast, during the podcast, after the podcast.
Right.
It was so funny. But now, I just think we see it in a different light, and the commitment, like the time we put in and what we've learned, friends we've made, just all kinds of stuff. Like, look at us.
Yes, it has exposed us to a lot of good people, in other podcasters and with listeners interacting with us. And so 2018 has been good to We Did That Shit podcast, and we can't wait to see what else it brings. What else we got on our shit list?
We raised awareness. Now, I'm especially proud of this. So we raised awareness. We've had episodes about autism awareness, HIV 101, gentrification, desensitization, and self-care, with some other things, of course, but those topics were really pertinent to our community. We got a lot of feedback from listeners from those episodes. We had parents reach out to us after the autism awareness episode, and we had our first guest on the show. Shout out to you, Dave. Hey, Dave. And, Terry was also on the show.
Yeah,
talking about her experiences. So we had a young child.
Yep.
Dave's baby was still young. Even though my son was diagnosed young, he's 24 now. And then Terry's daughter, who's a teenager now, and she was diagnosed later. Exactly. So we had all three of those experiences during the month of April, which is Autism Awareness Month.
I was really proud of, I don't mean to cut you off, I'm sorry. No. I was really, really proud of our HIV 101 episode, because you experience that every day in the line of work that you do. People think that HIV is over, especially with more people living longer. It's not like it was in the 80s where people were dying, early on when they got diagnosed. And because of that, it's just like, it doesn't matter. It's not an epidemic anymore. It's not around. And so with us raising awareness on what HIV actually was, that it still is around, I was really proud of that. And during that episode and the episode that followed, when we did a follow-up to it, we got a lot of DMs asking us questions about HIV. I mean, from people saying, hey, I didn't know HIV was still alive and well, to even people saying, how do I have a conversation with my partner about getting tested for HIV? Right. And so I was really proud of that.
Right. And the DM, I just want to say that was the first time my DMs was popping.
Yeah. Right. Nobody sliding into them. When you got somebody sliding into them saying, hey, how do I have this conversation? And I'll be honest with you, I felt smart. And this is the reason being. I was giving people advice like, no, this is what you do. You do this, this, and this when you want to have the tough conversations on how to bring it back, or when you want to introduce condoms back into your relationship. I really felt like, hey, some stuff.
Exactly. Exactly. And you're helping somebody. Exactly. And a lot of times, we're going to get more into those type issues, negotiating safer behaviors and things like that. But the gentrification episode, people are concerned, Black people are concerned about their neighborhood. And
as you should be.
They really should be. And shortly after that, there was a recording that came out with, what's her name, that got the doctorate, Roxanne Shante?
Mm-hmm.
that got the doctorate degree, but she never moved out of her neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And she's talking more about how to stop gentrification. If you want, you can achieve things, but you don't have to leave.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to the people who live there to maintain the culture of the neighborhood. So that was really good. Desensitization, because that is what they're trying to do to us. Seem like everything is okay. And self
And at the end of the day, it's just what we experience on a daily basis, growing up where we grew up. And I wanted to really say on the podcast, when we talked about topics like that, like you say, it spoke to what we go through. Me and you, based off of where we
Mhm.
grew up and the things that we've seen in our life, we talk about that in the beginning of our intro, what we learned from shit and how
Right.
we got through some shit. And like you said, self-care.
Yeah.
Self-care. I mean, I needed to hear that episode. I need to listen to that episode today. I'm still not practicing self-care. It's the year in review. So hopefully 2019, my self-care will get a little bit better.
So number 3, Black Panther.
Mm,
Wakanda forever.
yes.
Oh my goodness.
Black Panther was huge in 2018.
It
So
was.
huge, in fact, that we had a whole episode dedicated to it.
It was. And I am not a big Marvel fan,
Hmm.
but it was just something about how Black Panther united our community at large, our
Hmm.
global community, our national community, how we got dressed to go to the
Hmm.
movies, how we were so proud, how it portrayed us in our true light.
Hmm.
Because we really are kings and queens. We really are leaders and rulers. What it did for a community and for that time period, we were together. We
Yes.
were accepting. We were talking to each other. We were like, hey, Wakanda forever, or whatever
Hmm.
gesture you were doing, it brought us together for some time. And those feelings, those experiences with your fellow man of color
Of color.
are wonderful experiences.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And I hope that we can have more experiences just like that, outside of just a movie. But if it took a movie for that to happen, then bring on more movies like that. And
Absolutely.
so, it was one of the highest grossing movies of all time,
Right.
grossing over $1 billion.
$1 billion. Yeah.
And for all black cast movie to gross over $1 billion, it just shows, like you said, who we are as a people, and that we should never forget that. Don't forget, if you took nothing from 2018 from we did that shit, do not forget that black culture dictates culture. It
Exactly.
dictates culture, not black culture. It dictates culture. And so Black Panther showed that. And so, yeah, bravo to the cast of Black Panther. I hope they
Mhm.
dominate in the 2019 award season. But even if they don't, they got our award. They got Black
Right.
People's Awards. And so that's all that matters.
Number 4, Living While Black. Oh my goodness.
That dominated 2018. Well, dominates life every day, but we saw more and more instances of it in 2018. I mean, what was some of the things that you can't do while black
I
besides
mean,
sleeping?
swimming while black, shopping while black, being home while black, going home while black, being at a hotel while black, barbecuing while black, driving while black, talking, breathing, shopping, not shopping.
Yeah, we
Just
can't
can't
do
do those things in
anything.
brown bodies. I just,
Exactly. And it's not even 2018 is not even over. And we have more things coming out while black.
right.
It's just ridiculous. All of the things that we saw. And like we said, it's been going on forever. But in 2018, where you have more people videotaping these instances and exposing these people, and what I love the most about this, I mean, I hate that it goes on, but what I do love the most about these instances is that we're exposing these people. They're getting fired from their jobs.
Yeah.
They're losing money, they're losing
Yes.
time, they're losing effort, and they're losing
Yes.
energy in their lives because of these instances. And so while you're out there and you think, oh, I'm gonna do this because I have white privilege, and I need you to tell me who you are coming into your building where you pay rent, or not getting murdered while you come home, or not being able to swim in the pool where you pay rent, or not being able to breathe because you are a person of color, just know that moving forward you will be exposed because of that, and you'll be losing things as well.
So, the FBI put out a report saying that since Donald Trump has been in office, the hate crimes have risen 17%.
I believe it. Donald
Hmm.
Trump, we said this on the past episode when we talked about George Bush dying. And I said,
Hmm.
Donald Trump is so bad that you look at other races like, oh, you know what? They ain't that bad. And it's sickening that crime, that wild black, that all of these things are happening while this man is in office. And the sad thing about it is, because you have these people coming out and exposing their true selves, being white supremacists, it'll continue even after this man is out of office.
So, number 5, the record breaking election. Huge. More women first. The highest money raising election, even higher than a presidential election, because usually presidential elections garner the most money.
Mhm.
But even though this was not a presidential election, it was a midterm election. They raised more money for these campaigns than any election in history. There were more firsts than any other election. First openly gay governor, the most number of minorities running for the election, most number of women running, and the most number of women who
Winning.
got elected. That's
Mhm.
right. So
Mhm.
it was a record-breaking election. This I'm glad we looked into it and studied it, because it will definitely increase my Jeopardy score. You know what I mean? I know these names, and it really speaks to where our country is going. And this millennial, this Ocasio,
Oh, she has them shaking in their
I
boots,
mean, she
honey.
is already like 7 seconds in, and she's just,
Every day it is something coming out about this woman.
yes.
Every day someone is calling her a name.
Mm.
Every day someone is exposing themselves. Every day someone is threatened. And that's the biggest thing. They're threatened by this girl. She
Mhm.
hasn't even gotten to work yet.
Right, exactly.
Now you got a government shutdown. She hasn't even really truly got to work. So I can't wait to see what 2019 brings. And I hope that people get out there and continue to vote. We talked
Right.
about voting a lot this year on our podcast, and we'll continue to talk about it, because exercise your right. It is your God-given right to go out there and elect these people. Do not forget.
So, number 6, consumer affairs. This is very important to me, and I just don't understand why we don't use the power that we have to make a difference in things. What was that movie on Netflix this weekend? Bird Box.
Yes. See
I
how
mean,
big it was?
just that fast. You know what I mean? If we use that same momentum against these companies who blatantly, show disrespect and discard our dollar, and our people, we could affect change. So, Dove, you called me dirty. I'm out.
Mm.
I use Aveeno. H&M, no.
You called me a
I
monkey.
You called me a monkey. Starbucks, come on now. Even though I will say, and I said it then and I still hold to it, Starbucks as a company had the best response to the incident, that still to this day. Target,
It's high as hell anyway. They like Chick-fil-A, like we talked last week.
I
I
mean,
can't stay away from Chick-fil-A. However, the Mills is going up, and Target is the same way. It's $1.50 more than Walmart, FYI. But go ahead.
right. And I've added Walgreens to the list. I will never walk in. I will never shop at Walgreens again. And this is going to be difficult, because in my job we use specialty pharmacy. And Walgreens comes and they advertise and they host things and stuff like that, and I don't care. because, Walgreens in California have armed guards. One of their armed guards shot an unarmed black man in the back of the head and wouldn't even call 911.
Just had him laying on the ground for all
Yep.
people to see. What was the reason behind them saying that they even shot him in the first place?
Because
other than while black.
Yeah, but they thought he was going to be stealing. And also about consumer affairs, we talked about healthcare and open enrollment and the importance of getting medical coverage if you can. So, those things are really important for us as a community. And I'm kind of proud that we brought those things to light. Number 7, your girl.
Not Beachella.
Beachella.
Well, listen. In 2018, Beyonce brought it per usual. I don't understand how nobody likes Beyonce. I just don't. You could say she's not the greatest singer, but that girl is doing it up. And Beachella was huge. She dropped them babies, got that body back together. It wasn't even that she got the body back together. She got the breathing back together to go out there and perform. She was the first woman, the first black woman to headline Coachella. So that was huge within itself, especially after she was due to headline Coachella. But then she decided, no, I'm gonna have twins. I'll be back next year. Y'all wait on me. We did. We waited on you, girl. And you ain't disappoint. She had an ode to HBCUs.
Yes, that was wonderful.
And I don't think that people give Beyonce enough credit. I don't think people give Beyonce enough credit, not for who she is as a performer, but for all other things that she does in the black community. She gave an ode to HBCUs at the Super Bowl, which was one of the biggest platforms. She gave an ode to the Black Panther Party. She does so much in the community. In the black community, gives away so much money that's just not publicized, you know what I'm saying? But she does. She has given to hospitals in Houston. She's opened up domestic violence centers in Houston. That's her hometown. That's where she supports. Right. And so I just don't think that people give Beyonce enough credit for that. But Beachella, you killed.
She killed it.
You
she
killed
did.
Beyonce.
She killed it.
And I am not in 2018.
It was, and I'm not going to say that I'm not a fan.
Yeah, but you're not a stan.
I'm not in the Beehive, right?
Yeah, I'm in the Beehive.
I'm not in the Beehive, but she did kill Coachella. Some people out there learning the routines and putting it on YouTube and all that. I even like that stuff. I mean, they was doing it up, and she
presents a movement. I'm telling you,
exactly, and that's what I was about to say. Any black woman who gives young black girls and women something to aspire to, I'm all for it.
Shout out Beyonce. Go Beyonce. I'll be at your next show. You keep getting my money. And I'll be there at the next one. Even if you're performing the same song. So drop a new album, boo.
I'll be there if you're at Essence. Number 8, the royal wedding.
You know what? When we was trying to come up with our shit list, I wasn't too thrilled for the royal wedding to be on there because I was like, well, what the hell are we talking about that for?
Because it's a black person in the royal family.
It's big. It's a big deal. I mean,
we have African kings and queens. We do. But we are permeating the white royal family. It's big.
You know how I feel about Meghan Markle, but yes, it's big.
Well, and the white daddy was acting like a butt wipe and got himself uninvited. I guess he thought it wasn't going to happen to him because he was white and he was right. And her brown, beautiful mama was at the wedding, in the car, riding with her, just doing it up with her brown face.
Yeah, royalty.
That's
like we are.
Royalty.
The only thing that I really liked about the royal wedding was not that Meghan Markle was, a black person in the, what are they called? The royals?
The royals. Right.
Yeah, not that, but I like Harry. Harry
Me
reminds
too.
me a lot of Princess Diana, and I liked her because she was like for the people. Now, whether it was her people, our people, or it was people, she was for the people, and that's what I like, and that's what I like about Harry. And we recently found out that our cousin
Yes.
served with Harry,
Right.
and after he told us the stories of how down to earth he was and how
Mhm.
he really was serving, willing to risk his life, that
Right.
that made me like him even more. So, but good for her. Good
Right.
for us, getting into the royal family, and hopefully they have some brown babies. They won't,
Let me
but
tell you something
they
that
ain't
I
gonna have
already
brown
said.
babies.
I want a brown baby with red hair. That's what I
But they
want.
not gonna have no brown babies.
I'm
She's
shooting
she's
for.
she's biracial and
It
he's
doesn't
white.
matter.
Oh,
It doesn't matter. That baby can. I want a brown baby with red hair. That's what I want.
if they have a brown baby with red hair, it's going to remind me of on Life when he was holding up that baby
I'm the
next
panic.
to all of the people. That's what it's going to remind me of. So I'll be waiting on that one too. But congratulations to her.
All right, we're at number 9. It's our boy 12 Kyle, the 12 Kyle podcast.
Woo
Woo,
woo.
woo. Shout out! It was our first collaboration.
Yes.
How do we even do? How do we meet 12 Kyle?
The funny thing about 12 Kyle is we started, he calls us like podcast cousins, right? And
Okay.
I feel the same exact way. He's like our podcast cousin. But I don't know. It's not like we knew him. I was just scrolling through. I was just scrolling through Twitter, waiting for the plane, and I get this tweet like, "Oh, I can't believe he had hairy knuckles and all this stuff." And
Me
so,
either. I couldn't believe it either.
so
Oh
I
my
was
gosh.
responding back just like you respond back to people on Twitter, like, "Yeah, right, blah blah blah," whatever. And it was 12 Kyle, and so I remember calling you, and I was all excited, like, "Yeah, girl, somebody is listening to our podcast that we don't know." And you was like, "Oh, how you know?" I said, "Cause he's talking to me on Twitter." And literally, he was the first person who had commented on the podcast outside of a
People
person
we
that
know.
we actually knew.
Right. Right.
And so I thought that was so neat. I was like, I don't even know how he started listening to the damn podcast, but thanks.
Right.
And ever since then, he has listened to our podcast. He has shown support for us and we for him. He has truly been
A big
one
cousin.
of our number one fans.
Right.
And we want to say thank you so much because it gives us a lot of confidence that somebody else other than who we know
Right.
is enjoying the show.
And plus, 12 Kyle has so much more experience,
He does.
So it's nice that someone who's been around longer, who he had a radio show, he has a blog, and he has a podcast. So he's a little more versatile than we are, a little more experienced than we are, and still took an interest. So it was pretty cool.
Yes, and he became our first collaboration and not our last. And we can't wait to bring another episode with 12 Kyle on our platform in 2019.
Yes.
So that was huge.
We already have a topic too. Did you know that?
Yes,
okay.
I did.
Yeah.
That was huge for We Did That Shit podcast. And so 12 Kyle, I know you're listening to this. You made it to our shit list, honey.
Yeah, shout out to you, boo. Number 10. This is the last one on our shit list. This is it for 2018. I can't believe it. When Who Did Some Shit Goes Long. Who Did Some Shit Goes Long sometimes.
It does.
Sometimes we have to really delve into get to the root of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes we don't agree.
A lot of times. And a lot of times we do.
Yeah, sometimes our roots are different roots, but it's important to get to it because when you have a general understanding, now, even if you don't agree, when you have a general understanding and you can look at something from a different view, it shows you how to adapt to situation. It teaches you how to adapt to situations so that you can move on.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why sometimes Who Did Some Shit has to go long. Because you can't leave some things hanging. Now, we get a lot of feedback about when Who Did Some Shit goes long. Some people say, "Oh, I thought you were going to, play it out." Like some people want more.
Mm-hmm.
And some people will be like, I mean, are you ever going to get to the topic? And I'm like, yeah. Sometimes I think certain things, I'm like, yeah, I had enough. But you still have something to say. And this is your platform. You can still say what you have to say.
Exactly.
And yeah. So what do you think about people who have opinions when who did some shit goes long?
Well, what I will say about the show is this. Since it is our year in review, our show, we do try to make it topic based. Every week we have a topic that we want to get to, and all the time we don't get to them. Sometimes we don't spend a lot of time on the topic, but when Who Did Some Shit goes long, it really just speaks to what a podcast is. The podcast was started, like we said, it was something fun that we wanted to do. I always should have been doing something in, this platform. And here we are. Podcasts really are what you make it. You start out with something and it turns into something else. And every week it really changes, even when you try to stick to it. I will say that I agree with you in sometimes you got to give the background and that just goes a little bit long. But we hope that even if it goes long, that you enjoy that as well as some of the topics that we have talked about. If you feel like if you feel like you only tune in for the topic, this week might not be the week for you. If you feel like you tune in only for the topic, you can fast forward to the topic. I mean, I just feel like when you ask me, what do I feel like when Who Did Some Shit goes wrong? I just feel like that's what a podcast is. It's what you make it. And sometimes it goes long, sometimes it doesn't. But at the end of it, we hope nonetheless that you enjoy We Did That Shit. Does that make sense?
It makes sense to me. And I also want to point this out that you and I have our experiences, know, and when we talk about things that are going on, especially in the Who Did Some Shit portion of the show, our opinions, our feelings are mostly based on our experiences. So some things we've experienced similarly because one, we're family, two, we're around about the same age. 3, we're from the same area. So some things we have are similar, but all things are not similar. However, we are accessible. So I think, everyone is just like we started a podcast and, these are our opinions. They are our opinions, but I also hope that we are helping someone.
I do too.
It's important for me to feel like I'm helping someone. You are not the only person who has been in your situation. There is a way out of your situation. There's help for your situation, things like that. But I feel like we are accessible. So if more than you saying, oh, well, that was too long, or, oh, this was, you can communicate. If you have follow-up questions you want to ask, we're on social media. We always give an email address. A lot of people who listen, some know us. You can call, text, stop us on the street, whatever. So we're accessible. And we discuss those things, like the feedback we got from other shows. When we feel like they're pertinent or, you want to keep going at it, that's fine. You're never going to please all the people.
That's what it boils down to. Now, I want to ask you a question before we wrap this thing up for 2018. What have you learned from doing a podcast?
I've learned that discipline, not desire, is the key. You can want something. You can desire to have something. You can desire to do something. But until you apply the discipline, it's not going to get done. And that is really true for the podcast. I also learned that you can love someone and disagree with them often. And it's okay. I learned that like people have like experiences, and a lot of people don't want to talk about it. But when they feel that something is relative to them, they're better when they hear about it. So those are the things that I learned from doing a podcast. Oh, and I learned that I want to continue.
And that's the most important thing. What I learned from doing a podcast is 2 things. 1, support means everything. it really showed me that I support a lot of people. And while I never thought that support for me was that important, it really truly is. And it's not just because I want people to listen to the show, it's just that you want people to be as supportive as you are.
Let me
But
tell you
like I
something. You know
always
how I feel
say,
about that.
but like I always say, you can't put your expectations other
Mm-mm.
from what
Mm-mm.
you do. That's how I
Mm-mm.
feel. That's how
Mm-mm.
I feel. Is what I learned. The
Mm-mm.
next thing that I learned from doing the podcast is I am okay with me. I'm
Right.
okay with my opinions. I'm okay with what I put out there about myself. I am okay with me. I am not a people pleaser. I'm not trying to be a people pleaser. The podcast has taught me that what I want is okay.
Mm-hmm.
And this is for Maya, don't want to change for anyone. I'm okay with me. And we talk about self esteem a lot in the show. My self esteem is through the roof as far as that is concerned. I'm all right with me. My thoughts are my thoughts. They're gonna be my thoughts, and I'm not trying to change them. Now, while I can see other people's point of view, I'ma still think how I want to think. And that's what the podcast has taught me. 2018 was really eye-opening for me in starting We Did That Shit podcast. But we hope that you have gained something by listening to the podcast. We hope that you have enjoyed the topics and the information that we have put out there as far as the podcast is concerned. We plan to just get bigger and better in what we want to accomplish with the podcast for 2019. And we did that shit.
We did. And we have some great topics coming up in 2019.
We do. I'm
I'm
looking forward
excited.
to it. And I will say this in closing. I am happy to be doing this and being on this journey with you.
Oh, I love you, Maya.
You're supposed to save that for the end of the show. But we're going to go ahead and get on out of here. We again hope that you have enjoyed the year in review. We just wanted to go over, like we said, just some shit that was on our list for 2018. Remember that you can follow us on all social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at We Did That Shit. Always remember you can follow me on my personal Twitter. It's MyMy13. That's MYMY13.
And I'm at Bibi Amina. That's BIBBIAMINA.
And we'll be here same time in 2019.
Happy New Year. Remember, discipline, not desire, determines your destiny. Do that shit.
I love you, Maya.
I love you, Maya.
I love you too.
Like, you could have said I love you, Bibi.
Well, that's not the way that the end of the show goes. I will be editing this part out.
Don't edit out. This is real shit.